have a fan club. Whoa. Never had one before. Okay. So, I'm here primarily to talk about the trades. There are about 50 some odd registered trades that Alberta recognizes. And you can find out all about them by going to the Alberta website, tradesecrets.org or tradesecrets.gov.ab.ca. They're very closely related to all these trades. Is also quite a number of technical careers for which SAIT and NAIT offers training. There is some really interesting things going on, very many interesting things going on in some of these technical institutes, and in many ways they are leading the way. So if you're the kind of person who loves to, likes to learn about technical things, this is for you. Now, getting involved in the trades, how do you know if you're suited for the trades? Well, if you're the kind of student who doesn't really care that much for seat work, if you don't like sticking your nose in a textbook all that much, but you really like doing things, if you like doing things with your hands, if you get a great sense of accomplishment by having done something, having taken on a challenge, well, this is for you. If you like watching other people, how they do things, and learning from them how they do things, if you're interested in everything that you see, this is for you. If you're the kind of person who learns a lot, learns very well by watching other people, and if you're the kind of person who likes taking things apart and taking a look at how they work, if you're interested in that kind of thing, and then putting it back together, and you get that sense of accomplishment by having put it back together and it works, this is for you. If you like learning why things are done this way or that way, if you're interested in these new kind of construction techniques, if you drive by a building that's being constructed and you're interested in how do they make the basement, what's going on there, look at that crane. How do they lift that roof up there? Why do they lift the roof up there? Why don't they build it up there? Why are they building it on the ground now and then lifting it up on top? This is the kind of thing that you're interested in. This is for you. Now, there are also careers that are geared toward the female audience. The aestheticians, the hairdressers, these kinds of careers are very appealing, and what's great about those kinds of careers is they're very suitable, very compatible with family life. And for those of you who like to engage in your own business ventures, there's all kinds of opportunity working in the trades, including for girls. Now, the trades aren't just for guys, like when you see the fellows out hammering away in buildings and putting up structures, working in houses, installing kitchen cabinets and that kind of thing, all the woodwork. There are now quite a number of girls involved in these trades. So don't feel intimidated by that just because you're a girl, if you like doing this kind of thing, if you like working with your hands. For young fellows who like to work hard, who really enjoy physical work, there's the place for you. There are people out there who are doing very, very well, say for example, in concrete work. Here you have to work hard, but the reward is fantastic. If you have a little creativity, you can employ that in your work in the trades often. You can come up with new ideas. You can come up with driveways that look fantastic, and people want to know who did that for you. If you're the kind of person who likes coming up with new ideas, and you generally find that you have many good ideas, here's where you can make good use of them. And very closely tied to this is entrepreneurship. The entrepreneur is the kind of fellow who likes to be in charge. He tends to be a leader. If you're that kind of person, this is for you. If you find you have many good ideas, you can put them to use, and you can use them to make money for yourself. If you like being in charge of your own destiny, you know, an entrepreneur, this is the place for you. And the trades it's just such a natural way to make good use of those skills. Many of them, you don't need a whole lot of money to get started. Some of them you do, but there are others that you don't. Like a plumber, he can set up a van. A refrigeration mechanic, set up a van. You know, there are many trades like this. You don't need a whole lot of capital investment, and away you go. The entrepreneur, he's the fellow who would like to not only be in charge, but he's inclined to, he likes the idea of making good use of his own talents and benefiting from it. He's the guy in charge. He's often the fellow, if there's a downturn in the economy, who is the last guy working. If things get really slow, he still has a job. So there are advantages there for being an entrepreneur. And as well, there are great tax advantages to being an entrepreneur. You often don't, you're not required to pay as much tax as the wage earner. So, how do you get into the trades? Well, if you go to the Trade Secrets website, you will notice there on the left-hand side, there are a list of, there's a menu there, and you need to go to Trades and Occupations. When you get to the Trades and Occupations page, pick out the trade you're interested in, and it will give you all kinds of detailed information about that particular trade, including entrance requirements. I think it's called, let me see here. I'm sorry. I should have it here. Apprenticeship training. So if you go down, you scroll down, it gives you information about working conditions, career opportunities, and apprenticeship training. When you get to the apprenticeship training section, it will tell you what are all the requirements for the students that have been going through the regular public school system. It says English 20 or English 30, math 20 or whatever, or pass the entrance exam. The easiest way for most of you people is primarily to work towards passing that entrance exam. It eliminates the need to jump through all the Alberta education hoops. It is a bit of a hoop, though. There is an entrance exam study guide. There's a link to an entrance exam study guide. It gives you examples of all the questions that you need to answer. So you go to that. As soon as you feel you can get 70% or more on the test, you go to the Apprenticeship and Industry Training Office, you sign up to write the exam, and you go ahead and try. If you fail the first time around, you can write it again later after you have a little more preparation, and the test is free and you can do it as often as you like. Once you've passed that test, you are ready for training at a technical institute or local college for whatever trade you prefer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ledoux. I told you we have radicals here. He thinks this is the only way to go. And our next person who's going to disagree because she thinks a different way is the only way to go is Picky Nicky.
I hope that's not referring to a physical habit. So I'm here to tell you, because I thoroughly believe, that the liberal arts as your major, your college degree, is the best post-secondary choice because it prepares you to do anything. You train your mind. That will help you be successful in any career, and it leads to a very fulfilling life, just a higher quality of life all around for anything that you choose to do. I went to Thomas Aquinas College in California, where after 4 years I got my liberal arts degree, which basically translates to a major in philosophy and theology and a minor in math. But the reality is that you really can't, the translation is faulty, because what you learn is so much more than just these very particular fields. It's a very immersive experience in learning and in community, which directly affects the way that you learn. You come to understand the fundamentals of what's important in life, the big picture. And by saying it enables you to do anything in your future life, this isn't a cop-out answer. You're training your mind, which is a proper ordering of the way that you think, which applies to every aspect of your life, whether it's personal, professional. You're a great problem solver. You end up with the ability to use logic and rhetoric, which means that you can meaningfully and critically discuss any topic with anyone coming from a variety of backgrounds, not necessarily because you know or are extremely well versed in that particular topic, but because you know how to address a way to speak about it, because you can go back to the beginning and just, again, hold a meaningful conversation. A lot of people think, oh, liberal arts, what do you do with that? You go get a college degree after that? It's just not practical enough to pay. Maybe you can't become a doctor or a lawyer straight out of a liberal arts degree, but if you choose to go into a field that requires more of a skill set and a particular expertise, you'll become a much better professional in that chosen occupation, because your thirst for understanding compels you to really grasp what I term as the essence of the job. You look at what it really means and how deep you can take your knowledge and your learning and become a better professional in that field. Steve Jobs, just to give you an example of I would say, successful businessman, attributed his company's success to being a place where technology married with liberal arts, married with the humanities, yields us the results that make our hearts sing. So what I interpret that as saying is that in the practical world, businessmen, jobs, occupation holders see that the liberal arts and people who hold liberal arts degrees are not only useful, but necessary because of the way that their mind is trained. It's important to know, too, that the liberal arts does not ignore or undermine the practical, but it enhances it with the ideals for which practical things serve. Your practices are made to serve something higher. I'd like to think there's more to life than getting by and making money. There's a quality of life there for which you're making money. And it's very fulfilling as a person. You go and you realize that these big ideas are still important, that truth matters, that goodness, beauty, virtue, these aren't just words. They don't just, mean something on a page, but nothing in real life, that they truly do shape our culture. And even if they're largely ignored by popular media, there really are objective ideas and bases from which you need to build the life that you would like to lead. A liberal arts graduate really is what I would term as a Renaissance man, which the dictionary would describe as a man with many talents or areas of knowledge. They're well versed in artistic studies. They appreciate beauty because they're exposed to it in the various studies that they undertake. So they'll listen to poetry. They appreciate meaningful art. They can dance, for example. I also find that just their mannerisms are very propitious and courteous because they realize that communication is the essence of one of the essences of why we're all here. We're built to be a society, and we need to be able to properly communicate with each other. A liberal arts graduate also finds value in understanding and practicing manual labor and in creating and implementing wise business design. So again, this idea that whatever you choose to do, you'll do it to the best of your ability because you realize that you have the confidence in the way that you create to really serve that occupation. So you'll find liberal arts majors in everything from international relations to fashion design. Finally, personally, I find a liberal arts degree really uplifts your world because you never have to settle for anything. You have a wonder that is kept alive in you because you're always learning, not in a way that seems hard to grasp, but just that you realize that the world is unlimited and there's so much out there that is just fascinating and will help you become a better person and better at what you're trying to do. I'd like to just end with a couple of quotes from changers that I think have really affected the world, just kind of undermining this idea of continual learning. Socrates says, "Wonder is the beginning of wisdom." Einstein, "The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing." And this is, again, one of just the major hallmarks of a liberal arts degree, major. And finally, in developing the ability to exercise the traits learned by a liberal arts degree, you will not only be successful in business, but in the business of life. And if that's not what we're here to really live out, then I think I'm going to quit my job. Thank you.
Nicole, can you sit here?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
We'll have questions. Well, actually, we want to debate. I'm trying to give you a bunch of extreme points of view, and then we'll debate them. Our next point of view comes from somebody who thinks it's a waste of time to go to post-secondary, go into the trades. Just get out there and get a job. And so because he doesn't like people disagreeing with him, we call him Sparky Marky.
Well, son, it appears the day of reckoning has arrived. Congratulations on having graduated, but now is the time to make some important decisions. After our talks over the last few years regarding your future, have you been giving some thought to what's next in your journey through life? Well, Mom and Dad, I have decided that I'm not ready for anything formal right now, so I plan on getting a job or two, and explore what's out there for me before committing to anything. Well, I see. Haven't you been doing that already through your high school years, attending all those high school conferences, college open houses, the plethora of part-time jobs that you've had, and all that internet research you've done? Yeah, Dad, you're right. I have done a lot of stuff already, but I still feel unsure. I need more sustained work experiences, and not just summer jobs and weekend contracts. If I go to school now, I think it will just be a waste of time and money. You know, I'm the kind of person who wants to live life and not just cruise along. Well, dear, our biggest concern we have for you, and we have seen it time after time, is that once you stop schooling, you are unlikely to return to it. I know you think that way, Mom, but I wonder why you so adamantly want me to attend an institution, especially after all these years of homeschooling. You... Yeah, me with 2 degrees, right? You obviously didn't think too highly of elementary and high schools then. That's true, dear, though now you are at a new level. And let's face it, without post-secondary credentials, your job prospects are very limited. Look at your Uncle Brad. He started his own business right out of school and never had time to go back to school. But Mom, he is a multimillionaire, and he is and he is always taking us on those amazing holidays with his family. But son, he had so much potential in so many other areas. Like music, like football, that he will never realize now. Well, he sure looks happy all the time. And their family seems to have a great life. But not only that, son, we have these RESPs that must be used before your 21st birthday. And that'll help you pay your way through school. But Dad, I don't even know what I want to do yet. Wouldn't that be just an empty benefit if the schooling leads nowhere? Well, honey, I don't know what's gotten into this kid. It seems that he doesn't see the value of education. Well, sweetheart, we have taught him that education comes in all forms, not just out of a textbook. You know, on those holidays we took with your brother Brad, the experiences the children had were unbelievable, as well as proving to be invaluable in developing their maturity and insight. If anything, Mom and Dad, I have seriously considered Bible college because I know it is so important to be grounded regardless of whether I attend college or enter the workforce. But to me, that is not the same as beginning a career path without a compass, which is what I'd be doing if I start right away in career training. But look at your dad. He enrolled straight out of high school into university, and in 4 years, he had employers by the dozen seeking his services. You know, your father didn't know exactly what he wanted to do when he enrolled, but after switching faculties 4 times in the first 2 years, he finally found his niche and pursued it. You could do the same. Yeah, Mom, Dad is pretty awesome and seems to like his work, but you and Dad have always taught us to plan well and not just enter into something blindly, hoping it all works out. And besides, Dad is probably the exception. Look at all those graduates working at the 7-Eleven and Superstore. What's with that? But dear, it's not only that. What would happen if you meet somebody out in the workplace and she is the girl of your dreams and you get married? Now you have added responsibilities, and going to university may well be out of the question until your children are all grown up. Well, Mom, that's a big if. But look at what happened to cousin Jared. It just goes to show that university is one big social event, and anyone, including Jared, could easily end up married there. Then both of you are unemployed, with big student loans, still going to school, and no one to bail you out but your parents. You know, honey, he makes a good point. Well, son, it's obvious you have seriously considered this through, and of course, we will support you regardless of your decision. Thanks, Dad. I really appreciate that. And Mom, thanks so much for enrolling me in those Wisdom online courses. They taught me so much in how to uncover fallacious arguments and discover the truth.
Okay, so he's got a point. But we have somebody here who believes university is the only thing to do after high school. So we have Prim Kim.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So, how's that? Okay. How do I do that? Read the computer and talk at the same time and wear bifocals. Okay, so why should you go to university? I concur with what the others have said about the value of carpe diem, seize the day. While it's true that receiving remuneration for your labor, your skills, and for your specific knowledge, that they can be obtained via many post-secondary high school pursuits, the opportunity to attend a university will give you something none of the other institutions can provide. The most necessary and esteemed credentials that can serve mankind. Although there are many reasons to study at university, let's just start with 4.5. Number 1, university graduates find employment. Graduate Destinations reveals, and I quote, over 75% of university undergraduates gain full-time employment within 4 months of graduating, end quote. you will have the qualification to secure upper-level employment. You will have the training of the mind to work your way up the corporate ladder. Number 2, employment credentials. Some careers are only possible with a degree, and it's a good thing. We want our doctors to have specialty knowledge. A university degree provides you with the specialty knowledge you'll need for a specific career and also develops significant skills in the most highly sought-after employment traits, such as communication, teamwork, problem-solving, initiative, enterprise, organization, self-management, learning, planning, and technology. These skills will be valuable in a variety of job and life situations, whether there is a career change in your future or not. No one can take your education away from you. Number 3, career satisfaction. Carefully choose the right university degree so that you'll apply yourself to an area of study in your area of interest and develop the skills and knowledge you can apply to a satisfying and rewarding career. It is likely that your university degree will pave the way to positions of influence in your community. Number 4, networking in professional fields. Do you realize that you will be talking and meeting many people who will have sway and significant passion in their respective fields? As you learn from them, you will also be able to experience a variety of university-exclusive events and research opportunities. You will be able to explore the well-established connections universities have with charities, nonprofits, and other places of outstanding academic standing. Did you know that it was while at university that Google, Facebook, and other big brands were conceived? Moreover, you can do it with no loans whatsoever. And finally, the half reason, which can really be the whole, or the fact that you can also meet your other half at university. A person who has the same passions and learning desires as yourself. It is a great place to make lifelong friends and connect with many others as well.
We're now going to hear from someone who thinks that you should just stay home and keep learning. Small Paul Fannencap.
Ken told me to dress the part. Wait, hold on. I gotta send a really important text. Oh, never mind. We'll get it later. So when I was asked to defend the position of stay a student longer, I thought, instead of being defensive, I should be offensive. So far, so good, right? I thought, how could I show that these other people are wrong in order to defend my own position? How could I insult their intelligence? The thing is, they're not wrong. Actually, they're right. All of them. But why choose just one? Why not choose all of them? And you can do that if you stay a student longer. I gotta take these off, I can't see. I have to add to them. Oh yeah. Ready. As it stands now, under Alberta legislation, you can be funded as a student provided you haven't turned 20 as of September 1st. That goes up, actually, very soon, and you can be 20 but not 21. Now, for some students, that means that you could do 4 or 5 years, or in the future, 6 years of high school. Who wants to do more math? Yeah, 1. Wow, we got 1. Wow. Oh, 2. Oh, that's good. Very good. Excellent. Oh, 3. I'm surprised. I figured we wouldn't even get one. That's good. The good news is you don't have to do more math. The good news for the rest of you, that is. You can. But you can also choose a lot of other things. You can choose to explore a trade. You can choose to continue your liberal arts education and go off in a new direction. Who here has wanted to play the tuba but never had a chance? Okay, fewer than that. You can choose to get a job, and you can choose to take a college or university career while you're still in high school. So you can do all of these. You see, this time of your life only comes once, so why rush it? Now, I know you're in a hurry to be an adult. You know, that adult life is right there. Your own car, your own place, your own credit card bill. You know, that adult life is still right there, I know. But take this time of your life, to answer this question. Who am I? Really? Who am I? You are becoming your own person. But who is that? Take this time to find out. Try things. Work at a job, or 3. You'll find out the kind of job you like and the kind of job you don't. Try a college course. Consider a trade. Because who you are isn't set yet. I know you think it is. I know you know everything. I know you would agree with the words of Mark Twain. You probably heard the quotation attributed to Mark Twain. It goes like this. When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astounded by how much he had learned in 7 years. You'd agree, right? Yeah. Who you are today is not necessarily who you will be in 7 years, or less than that. So please, don't rush off thinking you know everything already. There's more to learn. Let me quote from another wise man. From the ages of about 16 to 19, young adults are in a position to use and refine their skills of logic and expression. They have developed insight into history, literature, faith, and morals that demand to be expressed. And in the process of expressing them, they learn to do so effectively. Poised at the threshold of the world of work and the responsibility of parenting, this is perhaps the last chance to apply abundant time and effort to learning. The wise man who said that is actually sitting right there. Yeah, you did, Ken. I'm quoting from Ken's article, High School at Home, Time for a Real Education. It's in the high school booklet. Didn't need that anyway. Another wise man, my father told me, at the end of the 7 years when he had learned something, he said there were 2 kinds of people in the world. On the one hand, there were the people who knew everything and had closed their brains. On the other hand, there were those who were still learning. And he said, be a learner. Now I say the same thing to you. Be a learner. And that goes for your whole life. The dictionary says, any person, a student, is any person engaged in learning, any person who studies, investigates, or examines thoughtfully. We should all aim for that, for our whole life. So be a lifelong learner. It does get more difficult when you do have that credit card bill and the other responsibilities. So take this time to learn everything you can now. Be a learner and stay a student longer. Thank you.
Thank you. I told you had radicals among you. Does anybody recognize this phone yet? Gee. So now that you've got radicals in your midst, I think you need to dissemble them a little bit. So if you've got comments or questions, or you'd like to interrogate them and pull out the fallacies in their argument or point to some of the great truths that they've expressed, please take a microphone. This is your chance to put these people in their place.
Okay, this, by the way, is a scenario. It's not for real. Okay, guys, I'm a 19-year-old girl. Okay, as far as school goes, I don't care if I open a book for a long time. I think I've had enough for a while. What I really love doing is I love working with my dad, doing whatever he's doing out in the garage or whatever. As far as the trades go, I really don't like playing with other people's hair, and I hate cooking. What options are open to me?
Maybe I'll just bring this over here. Daryl? Oh, Carol, okay. Well, I would ask, what are you passionate about? Are there things that you really enjoy? What is most important to you? And then take a look at what is it that you can do to help you get to where you might want to go. Take a close look at what you're good at. What are your gifts? And then maybe talk to others that you respect, whose opinion you value, and see where it might lead you. Pray about it. See if you can find direction. That would be my advice to you.
All right, if we're each answering this, I'm going to keep advocating here. So maybe this isn't the best answer because I definitely agree with what Lou Ledoux just said. But honestly, on another facet, I think a liberal arts education might be just what you're looking for, because I would say that you enjoy your family, you enjoy home values, you enjoy being comfortable with your environment, but at the same time, you're going to be reaching that time of your life where you want to be independent. You want to discover who you are as a person. And many liberal arts colleges, especially those that are just focused on liberal arts, are ideal environments for this sort of blooming, so to speak. It also helps if you aren't particularly sure about a certain area that you want to go into, because again, this trains you incredibly well for any area of life. But you also find a community that supports who you are without requiring you to be something that you aren't, but also challenges you to be something more. And so you're able to grow in a very strong yet loving community. And I think this would be something that would fit you very well, a home away from home, so to speak.
So, Carol? No. Okay. You know, nobody likes a freeloader. Okay. So I would suggest you get a job. And it's amazing what you'll learn through that experience. And you know what? You will probably learn very quickly that it's time to make decisions. You sound very indecisive. But when you're at work and you have to be there on time, you know, if you want to get a paycheck, all that, you learn a lot about life, and life happens very quickly, and you can't just, you know, sit around and daydream and think about what could be, especially now that you're at the end of grade 12. I mean, your parents want the best for you. And they may want you to live with them a little longer, but, you know, it's time to take control of your life. Get a job.
Carol, I'd like to suggest that possibly doing some volunteer work with your family, something that your parents have already taught you to do, continue doing that, and you will discover the next step.
And Carol, you really could do anything as far as your interests go, which is what the others have said. And send me a text. We'll talk later.
So, a lot of you guys have talked about how it's not about the money, it's about who you are. It's about following what you love doing, and which is really great. But what about at the end of the day, you need to put food on the table. At the end of the day, you actually need the money. And so, even though it's not about the money, it's about who you are. This is especially at the liberal arts degree. What if you do your, I don't know how long it is, Thomas Aquinas, 4 years? 4 years. So I've been to 4 years of university, let's say, and now I'm pretty much out of money, and I don't have a job at the end. Like, what would you do with liberal arts degree without having to go on to more university?
Well, I mean, there are definitely fields where you would, if you were interested in something like that, like medicine, law, that sort of thing. But what I find the liberal arts degree really gives you is you're confident, so that no matter what field you choose, so let's say, yeah, you get home Monday after you graduate, you look at the wanted ads. Ideally, you might find more of a personal connection, somebody to say, oh, I know this employer, I think this job might really fit you well. Because a lot of us do just have connections like that within our outer circle. But even if it may not be your end job, your mind is ready to learn whatever it is, whatever job you'll end up taking. So even if it's a field you'd never considered before, I really find that it gives you the confidence to just go ahead and do it. And if it's like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting, which I think is important. I mean, for sure, we all end up in that time where it's like, there's nothing interesting out there, I just need to make some money. And that's a real fact of life. But I think that can also come from, you might not find you graduate with a certain degree and you may never get hired in that degree. My husband graduated with his B.Ed, and he was fortunate to get a job right away, but many of his peers couldn't find a job in teaching. So now they've gone on to various other things, and maybe they'll get back to that. But just to say that if you have a particular degree and a skill set, that's not going to guarantee you a job either. Whereas with a liberal arts mindset, you're ready to learn anything because you know who you are as a person. And that's not to sound wishy-washy, but it gives you a strength and a confidence that you'll succeed. And when you realize that it's time to move on or you have a better opportunity, then you'll be ready to do that. Does that kind of answer your question a little? And I really do mean that. Like, as a liberal arts major, I believe that wholeheartedly. So if you want to know more about that experience, you can come find me.
Go ahead, Greg.
I think you're all wrong. Except for you, Paul. You're right.
Yeah.
If the liberal arts was free, have at it. Good. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but at the end of the day, you do have to live, and you do have to. That's just my perspective. I'm not saying I did say you're wrong, but if you know what you want to do, and if you want to be a teacher, if you want to be a doctor, go get a university education. But if you don't know what you want to do, the first thing you should do is take a year, go to NAIT and get your first year of business. That way, no matter how much money you make or don't make, you still have the basis of what to do with your money. After that, go work for somebody, like say if you want to be an electrician, go work for an electrician and go take a trade, because they will help you. Some trades will even pay you to go to school. So you can get you can go learn for free, really. And or you can go to university for 4 years and be like Josh said, you want to live debt free. So it's nice to be debt free. So just my thoughts.
Well, going back to the question about putting food on the table that you made earlier, if you stay a student longer, you don't have to worry about that because it's your parents' job to put the food on the table. Consider that.
What, you give that to me? Oh, yeah. I can't really respond to that. So that point was that we're all wrong, and...
Not me. I was right.
Is that what he... No, he said including Paul, didn't he?
No, he said you were wrong. I was right.
Oh, okay, I have nothing more to say.
How old are your children? Yeah.
16, 14, 12, 9, and 4.
Okay, so when the top number starts with 30 and they're still all at home, I would just appreciate knowing what your thoughts are at that point.
Well, coming from my perspective, if you need to make a living, you need to support yourself, working in the trades is an excellent way to do that. You get paid well. There are many, many opportunities, and you're getting training on the job. You go to school to learn, more about specifics about your particular trade. You get a great education in 6, 8, 10 weeks out of the year, and you come away with very little debt. There are support programs to help you, grants, bursaries to help you get through. And often your employer is very supportive. I would consider the trades.
Yeah. No, I'd just like to say a few things. I'm 70 years old, and I've been around the block a few times. And I have a doctorate in education. I've had that since 1991. I'm still looking for a job. So don't get too excited. But I'm enjoying what I do. Nothing. It's the best way to go. You think I'm funny, eh? Well, sometimes I think I am too. But sometimes I'm not. And like on occasions like this, I get a little bit testy regarding education and all that stuff. I've been there and done that. And I'm 70 years old, like I said. I just had a meeting with one of my buddies. We've decided together. He just lives over next door here. He's a senior in an apartment, and I sat in a nice, comfortable chair there, and we talked about what we're going to do in the future. And we've decided that we're not going to do much because if you do too much, expectations go too high. And when you're 70 years old, there's only certain things you should, take on. And, otherwise you're, But then I believe that life should be a lifelong learning situation, and that's what I did, with my life. I decided that at the ripe old age, get this, 51 years old, I decided that I was going for my doctoral studies, and I said, okay. I looked around for somebody that was dumb enough to do what I was going to do, and I found somebody to take on the challenge. And we went we went to Nova Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale, which was really easy, especially in the wintertime, to accomplish, eh? And the summers were too damn hot. I used to have to go to what they call a summer institute, you know, to make up the requirements for the program. And I ended up in the desert, like Moses. And I wandered for a long time in that desert. And I finally got out of the desert and got my doctoral degree down. And I've been trying to find a use for it ever since. But nobody wants to hire a 70-year-old retired Dumby, you know. So I don't know basically what to do. All I know is that I'm going to continue on, and with my friend, we're going to start a group. It's going to be called Philosopher Anonymous or something like that. He has a strong connection with the AA program, Alcoholics Anonymous. But I was thought Philosophers Anonymous would be a good way to get started, eh? And I just thought of that now. So, you know, I'm a bit of a BSer. That's my my background. I BS my way through university.
But you're still learning.
I'm
You said
still
you just told us that you're a lifelong learner, so thank you.
Yeah.
You have a lot to teach all of us. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I have one question. I mean, all of your choices are very good, obviously, and you obviously each believe that your choice is the best. So as a high school student, how would I choose for myself which choice was the best for me? So how do I discern which choice I should pick?
Try all of them. Really, I mean that seriously. I mean, the thing is that one of the things I mentioned is that there is funding, which means you don't have to. I mean, for the students here, talk to your parents, and if they went to school, they'll tell you that the grade 12 year was a year of real pressure. You've got to make that huge decision. Am I going to go to college, university, career? Oh my goodness, you know, the big life decision, right? It doesn't have to be so full of pressure because you got extra time. That's not great English, but never mind. You do have time. And so you can try things. You know, you can learn to think better. Use your critical thinking skills, which is what Nicole has been talking about. You can try a trade, get a job, take a college, university, to try it. So you can try all of these. Does that answer your question? Good. I'm sure you'll be able to graduate from high school too someday, Rachel.
I have a question about apprenticeships. Like, say I was going into for an apprenticeship. Is it depending on the apprenticeship or the benefits? Like, in an apprenticeship, are you able to make money at the same time gaining experience? Or is it just you're there for experience and trade-off?
When you first start your apprenticeship training program, the process usually starts with finding an employer that is willing to hire you. And finding in hiring you, he's willing to offer you an opportunity to learn on the job. So you're getting paid the same as any other worker engaged in that trade. You also, part of the program, when you register as an apprentice, either through the RAP program in the high school, as you'd be able to do here, or as a registered apprentice who's finished high school studies. Your employer commits himself to giving you some time off to engage in studying at a college or at NAIT or wherever you would be receiving your technical training for the few weeks out of the year that you'd be doing that. Then you'd still have your job when you come back. The only challenge for you would be, especially if you already have a family or if you're living away from home, is meeting the financial, having the wherewithal to meet your financial needs while you're going to school. And there is help there also. Like I mentioned, there are bursaries and grants to help you with that. And if you're living close to home, well, then it's that much easier. Does that answer your question? Yes, thank you.
If I, just before we take the next question, I was just wondering if I could address Rachel's comment there in question. I think students and parents have to take the process that we do as facilitators with the high school program choice form. We start in grade 9. And, I've done that we've done it for years. And, a lot of kids, I have no idea what I want to do in grade 9. Well, you don't expect them to know maybe at that point, but they have to start thinking about it. And when we go through that form, I find, the kids start to say, yeah, these are my interests. They don't maybe tie those in with actual career pursuits, but that's where you start from. You start from interests, and then what I would suggest then to get a job position is that, you go and get jobs. Don't go to McDonald's. I mean, if you need to put food on the table, go to McDonald's, but don't eat their food, but I digress. But, do jobs that, even if you're volunteering or shadowing or whatever, like if you've done that during your high school years, great, but if you're now finished, you've graduated, don't go right into university or college. I know that sounds pretty carte blanche, but I don't think a student is ready yet, emotionally or intellectually, maybe even in their faith. That's why I made that little comment about Bible college or something like that. I think that's so important, because that's not career. Well, it could be, but it's not really intended. It's really to get grounded in your faith. And I think that's important, but even if you don't do that, work a bit. And I just use the example of my son. When he came out of grade 12, he had no idea what he wanted to do. And he went from one thing to another, and he started some businesses, carpentry, he did some work up north. He joined the military. Maybe that wasn't such a great idea, but you can get out of the military with dishonor. No, it wasn't dishonorable. But anyways, the point is that try a few things, and I think then you can make. I'll just go back to my son. When he turned 24, he knew what he wanted to do, and in 2 years he got his third-class power engineering. He spoke here, I think last year, the year before, and he's now got a job offer from Cenovus up north, and he loves what he does. It's not just the money. The money is a bonus, but he loves what he does, and so I think that's important. But just getting some experience, real-life experience, will actually eliminate. You may not, tell you exactly what you should do, but it'll eliminate the things you shouldn't do. And I think that's, in my experience, would be the way to go. And not just from this debate point of view, but seriously, yeah.
Carol, what are you talking about? No, yeah. I'm done with that thing. Actually, as far as that goes, you guys are all right. Learning is a lifelong thing, so you never stop learning. The day you stop learning is the day you die. Okay, I am a little bit of an advocate for the trades, I'll have to say, okay, and for apprenticeship programs. And the reason I brought this lady thing about, or the girls, is there's a lot of trades out there that women are very, very good at, and not just hairdressing or cooking or whatever. There's a lot of women now being enrolled in the construction trades, and they're loving it, and they are actually very, very good at it. Women seem to love detail with their hands, so that makes them especially good at it. Don't discount it. You're making money while you're learning, and if you don't like that one, try a different one. So, thank you.
Well, thank you to our radicals. I can't remember your names.